would not experience it in 2023 or 2024. I am picking his question. There are many other questions I want to ask you, but I feel that time is not on my side. So I wanted to pick his particular question and ask you, because there are many suggestions as to why we're seeing the stability we are seeing.
Yeah.
The MVP says, give credit to Dr. Bawumia if you're talking about the gold purchase program, because that's like his idea. So if that's what is making the city stronger, do that. Is that the reason we're seeing a stronger city?
So one thing that drives Forex or foreign exchange, one thing that drives it is speculation. So I don't want to be too speculative on your program, but let's deal with the basic principles underpinning those things. So first of all, when was the gold purchase program launched?
That was under the administration of the MPP, 2022, 2023.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you launch a gold purchase program, in fact, and even implemented the G4O, the gold for oil program, yet you left the city at 16 Ghana cedis. You launched the thing in 2023. So even for lack effect, even if the fruits of it cannot even yield any results in 2023 itself, but its lack effect should be that we should feel it in 2024. Is that not it?
Yeah.
But why didn't we see it? Why? So you see, well, you cannot also isolate this government to credit 100% credit to the NDC government. You cannot also do that. That would be unfair. Because one of the drivers, one of the things that helped us a lot in terms of this relative appreciation we are seeing is also due to the debt restructuring program.
Oh, okay. The debt restructuring program.
Yes, because we were forgiven about $4 billion payment. So you see, if we were to go out of the market to look for $4 billion, that would have meant that there would have been increased demand on the dollar. And you see, exchange rate is just a function of money supply and demand. It's a function of that. So when you have small amount of dollars, and then you have more cities chasing for that same small amount of dollar, the holder of the dollar will choose the one with the highest.
We'll set the price.
Yes. So it's just a function of the two. So there's no human being that sits somewhere and control it. What simple happens is that many people are looking for dollars, but the dollars are not adequate enough to satisfy all of them. So the one with the highest return on his investment is the one he will give to. So if you are forgiving a debt of $4 billion, naturally, you expect that there will be that level of easing.
Okay.
You get it? So that was one of the reasons. So that's what I'm saying, that it's not also fair that we just arrogate all the success to
the NDC government.
But I can say majority, in terms of percentage, I'll even say 70 to 80% of the success we are seeing is attributable to the NDC. But I must admit that the debt restructuring program also contributed to that. Number two, we need to also understand that level of macro or the supply chain disruptions has also helped Ghana. You know why? This level of monetary cycle easing or the trade restrictions Trump is bundling everywhere has caused supply chain disruption. And emerging market economies are the beneficiaries because people are afraid because they don't know what Donald Trump will do next. They are moving a lot of their capital into the emerging market economies. So FDI in Ghana for the first quarter of this year has increased.
Okay.
Because if I knew that I was supposed to be doing business in US, now the restrictions have made it difficult that my goods are now becoming expensive in the US. Why don't I just move to a market that is relatively welcoming? So it also makes foreign capital accessible to the BOG. Do you get the point? Yeah. Then the third reason too is that the central bank also did well in terms of their regular monetary financing or the expansionary monetary financing program. Look, in January, the central bank released $200 million into the forex markets.
Okay.
So that is just a month. In fact, this year, the central bank, April, the central bank also released $489 million US into the forex market.
Okay.
So it simply tells you that there's more dollars in the system.
Okay.
When you see that the cedi is depreciating fast against the dollar, it's just because the dollar is not available. Look, I dare say that people who are still depending on speculations that the dollar can go up again, you'll be fooled if you don't change your currency. In fact, a friend called me that he had dollars to sell for 15.7 just a month ago.
And he refused?
He arrived 2 days ago. That same dollar is still in his house. Now it's trading at 12.92. So if you are not economical sound and you think that this is an artificial appreciation, you are not serious.
Because it also says this is not sustainable.
What exactly is the driver? I'm counting the reasons. And if we look at all these reasons, what is not sustainable about that?
But you don't have a perpetual, what do you call it, reserve of dollars to keep putting in the market.
So that is what people are getting wrong. Number one, there's increase in foreign exchange through commodity markets. For example, gold. The price of gold, what we index to prepare the 3-month budget in 2024. You remember, Adam indexed the price of gold to prepare his expenditure on account for the next 3 months, from November, December, January. If you remember, when they were leaving office, they prepared 3 months budget. Okay. He indexed the gold price at $2,000 per ounce, $2,000 per ounce. Senna, do you know that currently dollar is traded at over $3,000 per ounce?
The gold.
The gold. So now government has established an institution that says that any person desirous of selling his gold can only sell to one entity. Which is what?
Gold board.
The gold board.
Okay.
I have always argued that the natural resource of this country should benefit us. The current retention regime is wrong. 5% royalties and 13% carried interest. The rest is expatriated. Government is now of the view that even if you want to buy gold from domestic market, hand that gold to what? The government, which is through the gold board. So now there's increased capacity of government in terms of gold, natural gold. And once gold is, in fact, if you look at the yield curve, gold is one of the commodities that you don't expect it to slump. Because the demand for gold naturally across the world is high. So we don't expect even the gold price to come down anytime soon.
I see. Well,
and then finally, apart from even gold, cocoa. Cocoa price is going up. Our crude is also going up. So when you have all these things and you are receiving more forex, how can you say this is temporary? So I think time is not there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll look for another opportunity.
We'll find time and bring you so that we can, because I was just reading this story, and this will be the last thing. Government misses T-bill target again amid falling yields. And it says the government has fallen short of its Treasury bill target for the second consecutive week, raising 5.21 billion cedis in its latest auction last Friday. This amount is below the 5.38 billion target set for the week, according to the auction results released by the Bank of Ghana. And this is what I want you to respond to. Okay. It says the shortfall, approximately 170 million, follows a significant 1.59 billion under subscription in the previous week, raising concerns among analysts about the weakening investor appetite, particularly as interest rates continue to decline. Okay.
So one thing people must know is that when we first took office, we were confronted with an outstanding payment of $49 billion, Ghana cedis. Okay. So we needed to do something quick in order to find our feet. At the same time, we were still confronted to preparing the 2025 budget. Okay. Due to that, we started issuing treasury bills. Okay. When treasury bill rate is declining, it only measures investor confidence. People are willing to give you money at this rate. In the first 2 months of this administration, we recorded oversubscription of our T-bills. Okay. So if out of all these weeks, when we open and close on Thursdays, we get oversubscription, and just in only 2 weeks, we didn't meet. The reason why we didn't meet is that sometimes some consumers too are maybe rational as they may think, will be that if they do not purchase it at that rate, because the rate is dropping. What it simply means is that the yield on their treasury bill is also falling. So they may want to hold and see the government reaction. For example, if the finance ministry is not minded to know that this is just a temporal setback and want to follow what the analyst is saying, that because the T-bill rate is down, we are missing on its target. What it simply means is that the finance ministry through the Bank of Ghana can up the policy rate. And once they up the policy rate, government will be forced to increase the T-bill rates and means that people will now come and buy more. So it's just about doing the balancing act to know which one is the optimal level of T-bill rate we must do. Because at the same time, we must also be cautious. Because these obligations, short-term obligations that we are supposed to pay, if we are not able to pay, it will lead to more interest cost. Is that not it?
Yeah.
So government must identify what is the optimum T-bill rate that will be acceptable to government within its budget constraint and also acceptable to the investor. So that's what I would say.
How about Atta Issa? And I wish we could continue and just continue to talk about that.
time.
We'll make time and talk a lot more about the economy. I'll reach out to you. We'll arrange. You'll come back. Perhaps now you understand the journey that it takes to come from your place to this.
In fact, let me greet our communication officer, the CEO of the Gold Board.
Yes.
And I want to commend him for the level of maturity he has displayed over the past few days, and just urge him to continue doing the good job he's doing. We are seeing the fruit of the Gold Board, and I think that nothing should distract him. He should be more focused and balanced, and he must make sure that the resetting agenda continues at his office. That's what I'll say.
Well, and his name is Atta Issa. He's honorable member of parliament for Sagnarigu, and I remember the first time I heard his name, I was like, then he said he works with the NDC. He's actually the accountant for the National Democratic Congress. I was like, okay. But I had not heard of him before. And in politics, if you've not heard of somebody before, you wonder. But first time I heard him, I was very, very impressed.
Thank you.
And this is, and because he mentioned that, in fact, Victoria Hammer, those of you who don't remember Victoria Hammer was a deputy minister for communications who was fired because there was an audio that made the rounds about her expressing the wish of making 1 million Ghana cedis or something, $1 million, 1 million Ghana cedis. Now, she has been writing on this particular Sami Gyamfi matter. She titles it Youth in Power, Embracing Imperfection for a Progressive Democratic Future. And let me read just the first two paragraphs. The unfolding controversies surrounding the Sami Gyamfi dollar saga presents a moment of political complexity, one marked not merely by legal or ethical implications, but by its resonance within the broader landscape of youth inclusion and public trust. While the matter is undoubtedly fraught with public sensitivity, I write to propose a course of action that affirms both accountability and transformative ideals that underpin your administration's governance philosophy. So she's addressing the president directly. And this is where I'll conclude. I'll come back and I'll go through the article because her opinion, I think, is very important. It says, I respectfully submit that a formal reprimand rather than exclusion from office represents the most constitutionally sound and developmentally judicious response. This recommendation emerges not as an attempt to trivialize the gravity of the situation, but rather as a call for balanced adjudication. One that recognizes the necessity of accountability while remaining anchored in the principles of mentorship, institutional resilience, and democratic maturation. So that is Victoria Hammer. Just the first two paragraphs that I just read to you. We are back tomorrow to another edition of the Gold Morning Conversation. I am Sena Numbu from the rest of the team. Thank you very much. And big thank you to our partner, Sekpele 104.3 FM in Likpe, Todume. Coming up next is the King of Mid-Morning, or Chami Bajimba, with the Mid-Morning Show.
One station.
Accra 2022, 23, 24 and more. We don't Chami Bajimba. Back live.
Commercial free.
Versus Mid-Morning Show.
Oh, we love a Chami Bajimba. Mid-Morning Show.
The Mid-Morning Show.
Yes.
90.5.
Good morning, my neighbors.